Yesterday, Bitcoin saw a huge crash for more than 5%, so this is an insane dump for Bitcoin. And as I was saying earlier in my videos, I warned you about this potential move because Bitcoin now closed the CME gap, and in this video I will tell you everything about it. Yesterday we had another rate cut by the Federal Reserve of 25 basis points. There are also a lot of interesting data and news coming into the market, and I'll also have a look at the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs with you in this video. I will also have a look at the two altcoins, Ethereum and Vechain, but about that later in the video. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end? Please slap up that like button because it will help this channel a lot, and let's dive right into the charts. Last weekend Bitcoin opened the CME gap around $101,329, and it was around this level. We saw that at the end of the weekend Bitcoin decided to pump and we created a new all-time high of the $108,000 this week. So this is of course a very insane pump. But however, the CME gap was still open, and I've been telling you that we could potentially see a close of the gap later this week. And now we can see Bitcoin close this gap, so this could be a very interesting place to look for some interesting entries for Bitcoin. And at this CME gap close, I'm buying more Bitcoin because I think we will see more topside continuation for Bitcoin in the coming days and weeks. But however, after this huge all-time high of $108,000, we are now seeing a little bit of a downtrend unfolding on the 1 hour time frame. And if we zoom out to the 4 hour time frame, we can see that Bitcoin was ranging between this huge horizontal resistance and support, and we finally broke bullish during the weekend. We created this all-time high, then we came back to test this previous resistance as support, but this downtrend was a little bit too strong, and now we're falling below the support again. So we are also seeing a little bit of a bearish retest. So let's see if Bitcoin is going to see that bearish retest and that we have to aim for lower targets again. But of course we want to see that Bitcoin is going to invalidate this bearish retest, that we're going to pump above the resistance again, and that we're going to see more bullish momentum to the top side in the coming days. So however, this huge resistance area hasn't been turned into support. As we can see here, we fell below this level, and this was all because yesterday the Federal Reserve did another rate cut of 25 basis points, and that was before the end of 2025. So this is looking very bullish actually. And this could have been a very bullish indicator for the market. But however, we saw a huge crash unfolding, and this is not what we wanted to see. So the decision obviously brings the Federal Reserve funds rate down from 4.5% to 4.25%. So this is a rate cut of 25 basis points. And as you can see here, for the FOMC meeting of 29th of January in 2025, there's now a 91% chance that there's not going to be another rate cut in the coming FOMC meeting. So of course there's also an 8.6%, but of course this is still more than 1.5 months away. So a lot of things could change. So let's see what will change in the coming months. And we also had the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell saying in his speech that the Fed is not allowed to own Bitcoin. And of course this is very logical, but the fact that he is talking about Bitcoin is very bullish, I think. Because he knows about Bitcoin, and all the people in the government are going to know about Bitcoin as well. So this means that they're taking Bitcoin very serious, and this could also mean that retail is also going to take it very serious, and this will only pump up the price even more. And if we have another look at the 4 hour time frame, we can see that Bitcoin was in this huge consolidation formation, and on the lower side we saw a lot of touch points as support or folding, and so on the higher side we saw a lot of touch points as resistance. We broke out bullish during the course of the weekend. We created this all-time high of $108,000, and now we're coming all the way back down after the FOMC meeting. But however, we are also seeing that this resistance hasn't been tested as support, unfortunately, and we are now breaking below it, and we're now coming back inside of consolidation formation. So this price of Bitcoin is getting squeezed into this apex again. So we will eventually see a huge breakout to either the top side, or we will see a breakout to the downside, of course. And these are the scenarios that could unfold today or maybe later this week. So for now, we are seeing that this bearish retest is unfolding. So you could also take a little bit of a short to the market, and then you have to aim for this lower side of the market. And from this bearish retest, you could possibly make an almost 3% trade on this short if you want to. And this is looking very bullish if you want to trade this. So keep in mind that you always have to trade for yourself. And the things I'm doing here are not financial advice. So this could of course be a very interesting place to take a short, and that you have to aim for lower targets again. But please don't over leverage yourself, or please don't trade more than you can afford to lose. And if we zoom out to the daily time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend. We can see higher highs and higher lows unfolding, and these higher highs are getting exponential higher. We can see that Bitcoin created a higher high, a higher low, and now we are also creating this all-time high, which is also a higher high, of course. So we are now seeing a little bit of a decline, and as I was saying, if we're going to see a higher low for Bitcoin, you can enter the market again, because Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend, and the trend is your friend until it ends. So until the trend is not ending, you want to be buying every dip in the bull market, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So every time we see a huge dip for Bitcoin in a bull market, I'm going to buy in heavily for the long term, and that's how you make money in the crypto game. And of course, when we are creating new higher highs, I'm going to take a little bit of profits again. And having a look at the Bitcoin ETFs, we can see that Tuesday and Wednesday were very bullish again for the Bitcoin ETFs. Yesterday we saw a $275.3 million of total cumulative inflow, and that was all because BlackRock was buying like crazy. But we can also see that the other Bitcoin ETFs were selling a little bit. So this is having a little bit of a bullish effect on the price of Bitcoin, of course. And also we can see on Tuesday we saw an inflow of BlackRock for 741 million, so they are not stopping to buy, and we can see that they are now having more than $37.4 billion in total in Bitcoin. So this is insane, of course, and we can see a total cumulative inflow of almost 37 billion. So let's see if Bitcoin can eventually come to this $40 billion milestone before the end of this year, and that of course will be very bullish for Bitcoin. And earlier this week, I've been discussing this huge bearish divergence with you for Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. We can see higher highs on the chart unfolding, but on the RSI we can see a lower high unfolding, and this indicates that the buying pressure is cooling off a little bit. So we could also be warned that Bitcoin is going to see a more downside from here, and that could mean that the RSI is cooling off and that we will also see a huge correction in the price. But this is nothing to worry about, of course, because if we're going to see a huge correction for Bitcoin, you can possibly enter the market for Bitcoin a year in a long, and that we're still going to create this higher low structure, and that Bitcoin is going to see the continuation of the bullish momentum to the top side, because as I'm always saying, the trend is your friend until it ends. So for now, the trend is not ending, and we're seeing this huge topside continuation. But of course, this huge bearish divergence could play out in the coming weeks, and if it plays out, that could mean that we're going to see a little bit of a correction to lower levels. But of course, you want to be ready when Bitcoin is going to see lower levels to enter the market again for Bitcoin for the long term. And let me know in the comments what you think about Bitcoin. What is the lowest price Bitcoin will ever go in this bull market, and which price are you going to buy more Bitcoin for the long term? And yesterday we had some interesting news coming in. Michael Saylor was saying he is willing to advise US President-elect Trump on crypto. So of course this will be very bullish, and he's one of the biggest bulls ever. And if Michael Saylor is going to advise Trump in crypto, that means that he will most likely buy a lot of Bitcoin, of course. And this is very bullish for the crypto space overall. And after the FOMC meeting, we saw that 1.5 trillion was wiped away from the US stock market today. So this was having a very bearish effect on the stock market prices. And as we can see on the charts, the S&P 500 is creating a huge all-time high, but yesterday after the FOMC meeting we saw this huge red candle and the stock market almost fell for more than 3%. So this was an insane decrease for the stock market. So let's see if we can see more of a continuation of the bullish momentum, because this chart is in a huge topside continuation, and let's see if we can create more bullish momentum to the top side. And the first altcoin I want to discuss with you is Ethereum. We can see that Ethereum was very bullish in the last weeks. We finally broke bullish out of this huge consolidation to the downside. Then we saw a huge spike to the top side, and there's a huge parabolic moves were happening for Ethereum. We can also see that this huge resistance on the top side was the biggest resistance for Ethereum to break, and we can see that we didn't break it. We saw a huge resistance area coming into play and a huge rejection followed. So now we are coming back to lower prices, and of course this area has to be painted red because we're coming below it again. But for now we can see that this huge support area is holding strong a little bit, and we can also see that this huge support area on the lower side is also holding strong. So if we zoom in a little bit to the 4-hour time frame, we can also see that Ethereum is ranging between these huge support levels and this huge resistance area. And on the higher side we can see 2 touch points as resistance coming into play, and on the lower side we can see multiple touch points as supports. So we could also see that Ethereum is going to range between this horizontal support and resistance, But of course, we're now seeing a bounce from this support level. So let's see if we can come back to this resistance area and maybe break it to the top side. And that is of course what we all want to see. And if we're going to see break above this area, I'm going to wait for a confirmation of the break. Then I'm going to wait for a retest of this resistance area to turn it into support. And from this area, you can enter the market for Ethereum in a long or maybe for a long term. Because after this break of this huge resistance area, we could see more topside continuation for Ethereum. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Vechain. We can see Vechain broke bullish out of this huge resistance area. Then we created a consolidation formation, and this consolidation triangle finally broke bearish. As we can see here, we created a bearish retest because the previous support was tested as resistance. And from this bearish retest, we saw more than a decline. And as I was telling you in my previous video about Vechain, I was entering the market for Vechain here in a short, and from there we could have made an interesting trade of almost 19%. So this could have been a very interesting trade. So congratulations if you took this trade together with me on Vechain. For now, we can see also that this previous resistance is coming into play, and this is resistance on the daily time frame. So let's zoom out a little bit to the daily time frame, and we can see that Vechain was in this huge triangle to the downside, and this descending triangle finally broke bullish, as we can see here on the lower side. And after we broke bullish, we retested this horizontal support again, and from there we saw a big bounce to the top side. And this move was insane, of course, for Vechain, and we almost saw a 300% increase. So this was the start of the bull market for Vechain. And as I'm always saying, the top side of the formation will be confluent with the breakout target. So eventually we broke bullish out of this formation. We broke the breakout target of this falling wedge formation. And finally, we are now seeing a retest of this previous resistance as support. So this could be a very interesting place for Vechain to bounce to the top side, to bounce from this support and see a separation of this level. So for now it actually looks very healthy because we are seeing a huge bullish retest. So from this level I'm entering the market for Vechain again in a long and for the long term. And let me know in the comments, are you still bullish on Vechain, and what is your price prediction for Vechain in this bull market? You can also join my free Telegram group with the link in the description under this video. Just click the link and you can be entering my Telegram group for free. Please also like this video because it will help this channel a lot, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.